You need to talk about your customer and their problem, and then they're going to be interested in your business.
Today we have Seth Erickson, who is the Chief Mischief Maker of Storify Agency. Welcome, Seth.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm very curious. Your title is interesting. Your business is interesting. Tell us a bit about your business.
Yeah, so we primarily work with startups to help them better communicate their value to the marketplace. Um, the reason being is that most startups, kind of they go to school, they learn about their specific skill, but they don't take marketing classes or branding classes in the process. So there's often a disconnect in how they communicate, what their product does or how their service works, and they're talking about the tech when they should be talking about how this product is going to enrich somebody's life or solve a problem for them. Um, and so, I think that anybody, um, the stuff that we'll probably talk about here briefly, anybody can utilize in their business because a lot of businesses make the same mistake, right? Like they're like, I'm really good at, accounting, right? But they never took classes on branding or marketing, or I'm really good at, construction, or I'm really good at this or whatever. And so there's often that disconnect in communication. So that's where what we kind of help with.
I love that, and that is such an important uh, facet niche in the if you're in the US. Um, it's yeah because it like being in marketing myself, it drives me nuts when someone sends me an email or whatever it is, and it's just a list of features, and I'm like, I just don't care. How is this even going to help me? So yeah, I'm interested to unpack that a little bit. But yeah, to tell us a bit about how you got started.
Well, so we were a generic run-of-the-mill web agency, and in about 2015, I started to kind of go, okay, this is great and all, and we were making good money, we were winning awards, all that stuff. But what we saw is we weren't really moving the needle for our clients. We would say, hey, is this bringing in more sales? Your new website? Well, no, but we're really happy with the work you did for us. And I started to go, okay, I'm a designer. I was always taught design changes the world, and so I focused everything on design. But then I realized that at the end of the day, it's what you say and how you say it and who you're saying it to that matters the most, right? And so it's more about communication. And so from there, I went down the route of looking at a lot of different ways to market and hit on storytelling. And because of storytelling, started studying the neuroscience around storytelling, and finding out all these fascinating things. And and then we said, okay, we should try some of this. And so we started trying it with our customers, and we started seeing higher open rates, like on emails, like you just mentioned. We changed the conversation that our clients were having with their customers and how they were talking to them. I totally know what you're saying about those terrible emails because it's like it starts off and the person basically talks about themselves for like the first like paragraph and sometimes the whole entire email, and we're supposed to somehow be like, oh, I totally am glad that I'm talking to you. You're like that terrible person at a party that just goes on and on and on and like about how great they are, and it's like
It's so
this
true.
sucks.
Yes.
uh, so yeah, that's one area. And then because of the storytelling route, we kind of started shifting more into the branding because more branding kind of focuses on what is the story of your company, and building the brand around that story and kind of creating that personality. So I think
I
that,
love that. That's
yeah.
good. And so, can you unpack for us about the value that you sort of bring to the marketplace through that storytelling and through that branding?
Yeah. So with storytelling, you're essentially using a pattern that the brain locks in on, right? Like um, one of the differences between storytelling and marketing, because people say, well, isn't storytelling and marketing the same? Well, there's storytelling, and then there's marketing that sometimes uses storytelling. But a lot of marketing is usually just shouting at people, trying to get their attention. Hey, look over here, look over here, look over here. Whereas storytelling is kind of inviting them into a conversation, um, and and the person actually gives you their attention. And so it's a different approach, to the way that marketing has traditionally been done. But you can use it in your marketing, right? Like you can use it in running an ad. I mean, obviously, commercials sometimes use storytelling. I think the most popular commercial in the U.S. for the Super Bowl was a story about like a lost dog or a lost horse or something. It like got millions and millions and millions of views because people gave their attention to that because they wanted to be drawn into that story as opposed to being shouted at that you should buy. I think it was a Budweiser commercial of all things, right? Like they didn't really talk about Budweiser until the very end. um, so value wise, a lot of it, like I said, is changing how you communicate with your customers, um, writing content that makes them more receptive to what you have to say. We teach our customers kind of the correct order of operations, like because people always are, I need to talk about myself and my business, and I'm like, no, you need to talk about your customer and their problem, and then they're going to be interested in your business and what you do, right? It's like um, there's an adage in marketing. I don't know. I'm assuming this is a global one, but
Yeah.
nobody needs a drill. They need a hole, right? Like,
Yes.
and so don't talk about the drill and all the stuff that the drill does. Talk about the hole and how you need that hole because you want to hang your diploma, right? Or your kids' pictures, right? There's some meaning that even goes beyond the hole that that person is interested in. And so, how do we move that conversation? So in my opinion, it's like we bring value through educating our clients, changing the conversation with their customer, helping them change the conversation with their customers using basically a neuroscience proven method to get them to engage in the information by doing it the right way, telling the right kind of story to the right audience. So
Mm.
um,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
Does that answer your
that's
question?
that's good. It does. It does. So, could you give us one or two insights, Seth, of how to use good storytelling, or even the components of storytelling, um, you know, on how to grow your business using that methodology?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've already kind of been talking about that a little bit, but um, so I always say if you're selling a product or a service, start the conversation at the top like of a web page or an email. Start with the problem. Show that you understand the problem. Like it seems so many people go, I have this thing. Do you want to buy it? And it's like, why should I buy your thing? And you're like, well, it has all these features. And it's like, okay, but that's not the problem that they're looking to solve. Like no business exists without there being a problem to solve. So start the conversation there. That gets people to focus. Like, oh, I do have that problem, right? Like then you can amplify that problem, right? And say, and here's, you have this problem and here's why it's really bad, right? Like it's like you have a plot and subplots, right? Like in your story, this problem is causing this thing, this thing, this thing, right? Then you can start to introduce, your solution to say, um, or yourself, right? Because you're essentially the mentor in the story, and you want to help the hero over, overcome their problem. So you have to position yourself as the mentor and not the hero. Um, Anybody who's familiar with StoryBrand knows that that's like kind of a Donald Miller thing, but it was actually Jonas Sachs who said that in 2015, ahead of Donald Miller. Donald Miller just kind of like popularized the idea, but um, think of it like this. It's like your problem is your villain, your solution is your hero, right? Like so, just you can tell a basic story by doing a problem solution type thing, or you can do it in 3 acts. Like, here's the problem. Here's how we're going to overcome the problem. I'm the right person to help you overcome the problem. That is a kind of a 3 act storytelling way, but there's other methods. I mean, there's literally dozens of them, but they all kind of stem from, or the root of all of that is really based off Joseph Campbell's work with the hero's journey. So if anybody's ever read the book, it's pretty dry and boring for a guy who talks about storytelling. So
Oh, I love it. That's so good. And so, Seth, for someone who's looking at, someone who's a business owner or CEO or someone like that who wants to incorporate some of the, the story branding and storytelling as part of their marketing, what are some good ways that they can do that?
well, I mean, I guess my book might be one good way. But
Absolutely.
shameless plug.
Please do.
Um, um, but yeah, the I wrote the book so that I could help people regardless of if they work with us or not, right? Like I want them to have the information, and the book was written in a way that like I give you the neuroscience first, right? Like so this isn't just my opinion, right? Like I think you should use storytelling. Why should I use storytelling? Well, here's all the science, right? Like the second part is okay. I believe you. How do I tell a good story, right? Okay, we go through that. What are the different formulas? Like you can tell a story in a tagline. You can tell a story using analogies. You can tell stories in a lot of different formats. And then the third part of the book is really okay. I understand how to tell a story now. How do I actually apply this, right? Like you get a lot of business books that just give you theory and then it's kind of a pitch to hire them. And I'm like, no, let me tell you how to write an email. Let me tell you how to set up your website. Here's how you create a story. Actually, I don't know if you guys have Mad Libs in your part of the world where you kind of
No.
like fill in. It's like the story is kind of written and you just fill in like a noun, an adjective, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have that. Yeah, but yeah.
yeah. So I give that type of setup to help anybody who reads the book start to tell their story, right? Like in a way that will be effective and make sense.
Right.
Um, so a lot of that stuff is like I said, it's not me going, okay, now hire me. I got you all interested in the story thing. It's me going, and here's how you do it, right? Like so you don't even have to hire me, but as soon as you are done reading the book, you should be able to go back and reference and go, oh, he said to do it this way. But I'll just change this stuff around, do this, make these edits to the copy or to my website or whatever, and it's done. So, um, other than that, I mean, there are a lot of great books on the subject. Story by Robert McKee, The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, uh, Wired for Story by Lisa Cron, Story Wars by Jonah Sachs, Story Brand by Donald Miller. I mean, there's a lot of great work out there. I just kind of took a lot of it and condensed it down and made it,
I love that.
made, just standing on the shoulders of giants, really. But condensed it down so you didn't have to read, Joseph Campbell droning on for hours about cultural myths and why stories exist. It's like let's just get down to the brass tacks and and, and just tell me the answer. Like,
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. And Seth, a question for you about your kind of business career. And I would love for you to kind of let us know where we can get your book at the end. But if you could go back 5 years and give yourself a bit of advice in building your own business, what would it be? Now that you know what you know about stories, yeah, what advice would you give yourself a bit earlier in the piece?
um, yeah, I mean, I wish I wish I had um, known about this sooner. Because when the business when I was starting to become dissatisfied on the business, um, we shut everything down, and I went on, kind of a walkabout, and I was kind of lost and didn't know what to do for a
Wow.
while. It was like, well, I had my dream job, I achieved everything I wanted to in it. I'm not satisfied with it anymore. What do I do? And you know, I wish I would have known about the storytelling thing sooner because, it takes you on this really interesting ride of like learning copywriting and learning more about marketing and becoming better at branding as opposed to just being like I can push pixels around the screen and make them look really cool. Like um so um so yeah, I mean, I'm also a big believer in just like always educating yourself continuously. Like continue
Mm,
to read, continue to consume information. Not all of it's going to fit with your business or what you're doing, but um, you will find things here and there and different perspectives if you look for it, right? But a lot of people don't. They just keep their head down in their business and they just keep doing what they've always been doing. And it's like
mm,
the more you read, the more you're kind of opened up to new ideas and start to realize that like maybe your business doesn't have to be this way or that way.
mm,
So,
mm.
um, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would have told myself about storytelling a lot sooner, I think.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And then finally, Seth, who can you best help? And if they want to get in touch, how can they reach you? And also, how can we get your book?
uh, yeah, so the book is on Amazon. It's in Kindle, and print and hardcover. So anybody in your audience should be able to find it by just doing a quick search. It's called How to Hack Humans: Storytelling for Startups. If you would like to get a hold of me, my website is www.storifyagency.com. Storify is Storify agency.com. And if anybody's interested in the book, you can get the first chapter for free at storifyagency.com/business growth, business growth cast. um, but yeah, if you go to the website, there's a schedule a call. We'll do a quick 15-minute call and see if we're a good fit, for what you're doing. We mainly focus on startups, but we've helped a lot of different businesses of every different size. We've worked in 42 different industries. So I like to say we've done everything from synagogues to startups. So
I love that. Fantastic. Seth, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate the value that you've brought around story.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Seth.